now we're on to the NFC portion of our win totals. My name is Davidson Baker, joined by our esteemed, I wouldn't even say guests. These are my colleagues. These are my two partners in crime, Josh Shears and Brad Davis. And we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into it. And we're going to start with the NFC champions of last season. Josh led into it a little bit on the last pod. This is going to be fun talking about this division, or not this division, this conference, and all of the different viewpoints that we're going to have. Anybody that would listen to this that's an Eagles fan is about to be pissed listening to Josh. Even seeing two, I don't think the win total is necessarily even that high. It's the highest in the NFL. It's with Cincinnati and Kansas City. But think about it. If you finish first place in your division, you have to play all the first place teams from a year before. So they will have to play the 49ers. They will have to play the Minnesota Vikings in week 1. Mm-hmm. They will have to play, I'm blanking on the other one, the South. Well, I guess that one doesn't really matter.
Week 2 Vikings.
Right, but they'll have to play whoever finished first in the South.
Winners. Yeah.
That was Tampa Bay, so Tampa, not really a first place team.
Doesn't hurt you there.
But the NFC East is playing the AFC East, so you get that kind of gauntlet right off the bat. I still like them to cruise over the win total, and it's funny seeing Howie Roseman take the approach that he did in the draft, saying, "Oh, did he go to Georgia? I want him.
Give me him.
He went to Georgia. He's on my team. He went to Georgia. I'm drafting him."
Yeah,
Khalid Ringo, Jalen Carter. They already had Nakobe Dean. They already had Jordan Davis. It's basically Georgia 2.0 is what they've got going on up there in Philadelphia. I like that a lot more than most. And I see them winning 13 games and being the number 1 in the seed in the NFC. I do not have them losing until week 6 at the hands of Aaron Rodgers. Josh, I'm going to save you for last because of your opinion here. But Brad, why do you not have them eclipsing 11 wins?
Actually, I have them at 11. I have them at 11 wins.
We're getting over 11 wins, I mean.
Yeah. So I think that they do take a step back this year. I don't think it's a huge step back. I don't think that they're going to be have like a huge Super Bowl hangover, but like the Rams did this past year. But I think, with some of the pieces they lost on the defensive side, I think with losing Miles Sanders and that running back room being a little bit suspect, I'm not too high on them as I was, going into the second half of the season last year. But they're still going to be really good. I have them winning that division, so I don't think that, they're going to be out of contention for losing the division to the Cowboys or even the Giants. I have them at 11 wins. I think that's perfectly fine. They'll get in the second seed in the NFC for me. So, Jalen Hurts is going to be a stud. A.J. Brown's nice. Devontae Smith, I think he's going to have a pretty solid year this year. I think he's really going to catapult himself up to being like one of the top receivers in the league. But I do think they take a step back from last year.
I think regression is natural, and of course that could always happen, but I don't think it's going to happen at the clip that the man to my right thinks it's going to. Josh, go ahead. Have the floor. Tell everybody what you think the Eagles are going to do and why. And please tell us why.
So, the Eagles missed the playoffs. It's plain and simple. They were in the Super Bowl last year. They had a great season. They won a lot of games, and that's not going to happen again this year. Like, a lot of things have to go right to make a Super Bowl run. And people forget how taxing that is on a team. Also, they've lost both coordinators. Jonathan Gannon in Arizona, Shane Steichen in Indianapolis. You don't just snap your fingers and replace a coordinator and everything's perfect again.
No.
Like everyone has to learn a new offense and new defense. I mean, yes, there will be some similarities because you're still under the same head coach and things like that. He still has final say, but there's going to be different nuances. Also, you're relying on a bunch of first and second year players out of Georgia. I get it. Georgia's the best defense in college football, this, that, and the other. That doesn't translate to NFL success. Jordan Davis is not going to be. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are going to be your interior guys. Neither one of those guys is replacing Javon Hargrave, who is in San Francisco now.
Fletcher
It's not
Cox.
happening. Yeah, Fletcher Fletcher Cox is getting old. His production went down a
Yeah.
little bit last year. I mean, you can only expect but so much out of a guy who's and give him his flowers. He's been great for a long time. But that's why they've got two guys ready to come in and play in Carter and Jordan Davis. And I don't see it translating to immediate success, which is why I have them losing week 1 to the Patriots. Yeah, save the points. But save the points. Take the money line.
The Patriots.
Take the Patriots money line. But yeah, and
Yeah.
the offense is not gonna have that same magic to it. I don't think. Yes, Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goddard, your stable of mid-level running backs that are all RB1 apparently according to the depth chart if you go look at it, which is
Hilarious.
asinine.
Hilarious.
Yeah,
I might want to try to
ridiculous.
put that on the screen.
Yeah, the only thing you want there is for fantasy purposes is when they play the Giants, you want Boston Scott. That's the only time you want to play an Eagles running back all season. But beside the point, I've gone off. But yeah, the Eagles, they're due for regression. Teams to go in and lose the Super Bowl. Not a great track record. I don't have the exact stats on hand, but it's not good. And the Eagles are also one of those teams historically. When they lost the Super Bowl under Andy Reid, they were, I believe, a 6-win team the following year. Yeah,
Bro.
four
Yeah,
RB1s.
here we go. It's
Four
on the screen.
RB1s.
What
Also-
the hell?
Lane Johnson is playing on like one ankle.
Yeah.
I mean, he completely destroyed that thing last year. He's not getting any younger. I know a lot of guys. I don't really know who Cam Jurgens is. I don't
Yeah,
remember
right,
Cam Jurgens. I mean, yeah. But yeah, Lane Johnson, Jason Kelsey's not getting any younger either. I think the offensive line could take a big step back as well. This team does not inspire a ton of confidence in me at being the elite expectation they're expected to be. I see them. They're going to be fine. I've got them, I believe, at 8-9, but they're going to miss the playoffs. They're third in their division.
Crazy.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy talk.
It is crazy talk, but we'll see in 17 weeks.
It's like when Patrick is saying to Sandy, "That's not crazy talk. This is crazy talk." And he's talking about
just
the Philadelphia
mumbo
Eagles
jumbo.
instead. Yeah, nuts.
I'll take it.
It's going to be a fun division, and one of those teams that will be playing in a division game we will see on on Sunday night. The Cowboys. Seems like we don't have much to argue about here. I think the win total is a little low. This is one of the most talented teams in the NFL. Just don't buy them in January. That's just what it's been since the 90s. And I expect that trend to continue. I don't think they are as talented as the Niners. I don't think they're as talented as the Eagles. I think the loss of Kellen Moore is going to affect things. Why? Because Mike McCarthy is calling the plays. Brad, why are you convinced that they go over the win total of 9.5?
Green Bay, so we'll see what happens. Dallas, but I like the Cowboys. They brought in Cooks for their. They finally have, I feel like, with Cooks, a solid wide receiver too. Pollard, I think, is going to take over and take that next step of being RB1 in Dallas. Their defense is going to be solid. They are in a very tough division, but I have them at 10 wins, so they'll get right over pretty nicely. Yeah, I mean, I like the Cowboys. So I don't like them in January, like you said, but regular season, Dak's going to get you some good games. He'll have some bad games, but overall, he'll get you a playoff spot.
Josh.
Yeah, so I have them at 10 wins. I don't love it. I mean, when you pick all 32 teams, you're not going to have every pick that you love. This is one of them for me. But I don't trust Dak Prescott. Actually, not so much I don't trust Dak Prescott. I don't trust Jerry Jones not to get his hands dirty and create a quarterback controversy out of thin air now that he went and single-handedly traded for Trey Lance.
I totally forgot Trey Lance is on the Cowboys now.
Like, I know
That's
that
another thing,
sounds
too.
crazy, but I
But
can
he's
see
not ready.
Jerry. He's got to play at some point.
But he was never ready coming into the league as
Which is
much as
why he
I
should
would
have
have
played.
loved for him to have been ready. And I get it, but it's so hard to just thrust a guy on an NFL or on a Super Bowl ready roster, I should say, to just play. You can't.
Oh,
you
I'm
can't
not saying
waste.
it's the right decision.
Yeah.
I'm just saying Jerry Jones is irrational.
Yeah. I mean,
And if Dak comes out and throws 5 picks in the first 6 games,
Trent is going to be pissed.
Trent will be in. No, he won't, because Dak will get benched. Dog, he's going to be riding.
He's not going to get
It's going to be
benched.
Trey Lance season.
Dak is not going to get benched. I mean, is he going to be QB2 over Cooper Rush?
He doesn't have to be, dude. They're not going to. If they make a move at quarterback, they're not going and turning to Cooper Rush. They're going to turn to Trey Lance to see what they have.
I disagree. They've won games with Cooper Rush.
If it's bad enough to where you're benching Dak, then you're not
going to play Cooper
Rush this season. You're not looking to compete this season, so you see what you have in Trey Lance.
But we don't see that happen.
No.
That bad? Yeah, no. If it's that bad, you're putting in Lance. There's no question. If you're sitting there at like 2-6, and it's looking really rough.
Yeah,
you're gonna throw Lance in there.
This is more so me just trying to create a different topic since we're all on the over. Because I think there are definitely 2 clear sides to this coin. Dak could come out and be terrible. Tony Pollard could not be capable of being a lead back.
Yeah,
he's never done it. And who else is there? Rico Dowdle and Deuce Vaughn.
Oh,
give me a break. I love Deuce Vaughn, but he's not a lead back in the NFL. He's not a lead back in the NFL. It's not happening. I'm
5'5". I've been proving people wrong my whole life.
I also don't know it. I like CeeDee Lamb's good, but he's not carry a team Justin Jefferson good. So
I like Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, he's fine. He's going to get you 1,000 yards because that's what he does. But I don't know. I think this team goes over, but I also see a very, very clear path to them going under this number. This is one of those numbers that I think could go either way.
The New York Giants, where we have a lot of discrepancies here in a big, big way. So I love Daniel Jones. I love Brian Daboll. I love what they did last year. A lot of it was a lot of what I expected from Daniel Jones going forward. I mentioned it, or not going forward, but early on in his career. I mentioned it at the beginning of the AFC Win Totals pod. When you have Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard, and who is the other one? Kadarius Toney, Darius Slayton, and Sterling Shepard as the guys that you're throwing to. I like Sterling Shepard, but he dropped a lot of balls. All 3 of those guys are 3 of the top 4 guys in the NFL since 2021 that have more than 75 targets that are dropping passes at that high of a clip. I do think this team regresses. I do think that they cannot replicate what they did last season. And because of the fact that the win total is where it's at, and because of the fact that they're playing the AFC East, I have them right on the number at 7-10, which puts them under the win total for me. We're going to, again, save Josh for last. Brad, why do you think this team is going over?
I have them at 8 and 9, so I don't have them going super high over. I have them going right over. I do think they take a step back from last year. I do like the additional Waller, but he's kind of proven that he can't really stay healthy that much. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can stay healthy and be, Jones's number one target. They have Saquon still, so they're going to have a solid running game. I think Dayball is going to coach the hell of that team, but I think ultimately they're in a very tough division. And I'm not the biggest Daniel Jones believer, but if Waller can stay healthy and be a consistent weapon for him, I could see them getting the non-wins. But for right now, I feel comfortable at 8. I do like the over, but I'm not like super thrilled about it. But I like it for right
now.
And a lot of things are going to be at play here. Like, how do they play the AFC East? How do they play their own division? How do you top what they did last year? I think a lot of people are not thinking that they'll be able to replicate what they did last year. I know one person, though, that thinks they can do more than what they did last year. And it's the man to my right.
Yeah.
Josh.
I'm pounding the table for the New York Football Giants. This team is legit. I think they have a top 5, maybe even top 3 coach in the entire league. And with that, it helps your quarterback tremendously. I like Daniel Jones. I don't love him. Davidson, you may even be a little higher on Daniel Jones than I am.
I probably am.
But when you pair him with Brian Daboll and some of the additions they made this offseason on the offensive side of the ball, plus getting Saquon Barkley a new contract, at least for 1 year. I mean, you've got, Darius Slayton, I know the drop percentage. I like Paris Campbell. I love the pickup of Jalen Hyatt. I just
love it.
Wan'Dale Robinson. I mean, I think that guy has potential. I know, but he'll play at some point. He'll play at some point this season, and I think he'll be an injection of life whenever he does play. And then, as Brad was talking about, Darren Waller, if he's healthy. I mean, I know, again, I talked about preseason on the AFC podcast, and I normally am not a big believer in preseason translating to regular season. But Darren Waller and Daniel Jones tore my Carolina Panthers apart, and I believe that to still be a really, really good defense. He made J.C. Horn look like an absolute bum. I mean, he was dominating J.C. Horn one-on-one. So if they can do that, I think they have one of the best defenses in the league, and I think you'll hear about this defense when we get to our award winners section at the end of the podcast. A little foreshadowing there. But, I mean, you've got guys like Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, Kayvon Thibodeau. That gives you a flashback to the NASCAR package of when the Giants won a Super Bowl. I mean, you've got guys that can get after it up front. And then you don't have slouches in the secondary either. I mean, I really like Xavier McKinney. I like Deonte Banks a lot. An underrated pickup, Isaiah Simmons, for a 7th-round pick. Where are you going to play that guy? It doesn't matter. You put him wherever on the field, you let him go make plays. Arizona was not using him right, and I trust the Giants to use arguably one of the most talented defenders from a skill set standpoint and maximize him in their defense. I have this team, I believe, at 13-4. Yeah, 13-4.
13-4.
13-4, winning the NFC East. I think they sweep the Eagles. They get revenge against Boston Scott.
I'm going to give them that Eagles. Eagles.
Man.
13-4.
The Giants are legit. Hey, Daniel Jones on that Eli Manning career arc.
Hey, Daniel Jones could walk so that Riley Leonard could run.
Oh, love me some Riley Leonard.
Love me some Riley Leonard.
Riley Leonard.
We're going to be talking a lot about Riley Leonard leading into NFL draft season. Yes.
Separate pod.
Yes. Love Riley Leonard.
Duke Blue Devils, baby.
Up the Dookie quarterbacks. The Washington Commanders. 6.5 wins. It's all going to depend on what the Sam Howell experience is like. As a backup, it's Jacoby Brissett. And Jacoby Brissett has been the most typical. You don't want him starting, but like if you need him to start, like he can be there and he can underwhelm tremendously.
Mightily.
That is who Jacoby Brissett is. So I think I don't blame this current front office and head coach. I don't blame Ron Rivera for taking this route. You see what you have in the kid. I always thought the 5th round was an absolute steal. As an Oklahoma fan, I'm very impartial. I always liked him more than I liked Rattler, and that looks to be better and better as the days go on. But just because you look great in the preseason, and I said it about Kenny Pickett, just because you look great in the preseason, it doesn't translate to the NFL in the regular season. The Detroit Lions, the 0-16 Detroit Lions in 2008 went 4-0 in the preseason. It's just one of those things. Like, you can be as good as you want in games that don't count. What happens when the games do count? All of that being said, I do like them to go over the win total, however, only by a half a game. I have them winning 7 games. But you want to talk about coaches on the hot seat? The recipe is there, right? Like, new owner.
He should have been fired last year.
New owner. He should have been fired after he left the press conference when he said that he
Talking
didn't
about Carson Wentz, yeah.
No, when he said
Carson Wentz start.
No.
They were playoff eligible.
Didn't know that they were going to be eliminated if they lost. Yes.
Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
Oh God, it was terrible.
That's unacceptable.
And also, when you're doing a full front office change, how does the coach stay?
Is Martin Mayhew the GM there now? The guy that used to be in Carolina?
I'm not sure right off. I know the new owner is a absolute.
Martin Mayhew is the GM.
Okay, the new owner is an absolute terrible interview. Or great interview, depending on which way you look at it.
Joe Buck's
hand. Dude, that shit was hilarious. He pulled a Ricky Bobby. I don't know what to do with my hands.
he was zooted. He looked zooted. He was
zooted.
He wasn't Eminem in the booth with Musburger and Herb Street zooted. But
oh man,
but
I
yeah.
want this team to be good so bad, just for the vibes of getting Dan Snyder out the building. But
yeah.
I've tried to talk myself into it so many times, but the offense is not there.
Brad?
I don't mind the Commanders this year. I think it's going to be a little bit rocky for them, but I think they do kind of improve off what they did last year. I know they finished 8-8 last year, and they had a tied game. Kind of crazy. Don't see that a lot in the week against the Giants, surprisingly. But I like Hal. I think Hal can be something. I do think this is probably the perfect year for them to actually test him out and see what he could be. If not, you're going to be looking at a high draft pick next year if he doesn't, pander out. And you might be looking at a new head coach next year. So it looks like they could be on to something to where the current staff and players are able to stay, or they're just going to throw everything out the window and just start another rebuild session. But 7 wins, I like it. I don't love them, but I like the potential of their team.
I do like the potential too. I said this a lot in the offseason. I don't think they're going to be the worst team in the league. I've correctly predicted the worst team in the league the last 2 seasons. Wow, yay me, congratulations. However, look at it. The ingredients are there. The worst team in the league ingredients are there. You get a big pot, you stir it around, and what are the ingredients? Brutal schedule, brutal division, quarterback who has started 1 game in the NFL that was kind of somewhat of a meaningless game. I mean, you could say the Cowboys had something to play for. Like they were playing for the number 1 seed, but the Giants were absolutely, or the Eagles rather, were absolutely ragdolling the Giants. The worst team in the league ingredients are all there. I don't think that this team is that. I really don't. However, if they end up being the worst team in the league, it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me.
It would heavily surprise me just because I think there's a clear-cut favorite.
We'll get to that
later.
We'll get to that. I'm glad that that'll be the last one.
Yeah, me too.
The Detroit Lions, the only 1-0 team in the National Football League. Everybody's ready to crown the Detroit Lions. I lived in Toledo for about 7 years and knew a lot of Lions fans, heard a lot about the pain, heard a lot about the misery, heard a lot about the dejection. And so I'm willing to give them their flowers. Before last night, I had them at 9-8, and I would have had them under the total. I would have been the only one of the three of us having them under the total, but because they won that game, I mean, I guess I have to have them 10-7.
You gotta flip it.
I have to have them 10-7. I have to have them over the total. I think, though, and Dan Campbell even said so in the locker room, there's a ton of shit to clean up. They did not play a perfect game.
Which is impressive.
Right. And, there's some dudes that I like that haven't done a damn thing for this team yet. Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta. I mean, when they decide to incorporate Gibbs, like Josh, what were some of the other things that you saw last night that you liked?
Well, I really liked what I saw from David Montgomery. I did really like the David. I know his already wants to hear it, this, that, and the other. But Jahmyr Gibbs is not a 300-plus touch guy. He's never going to be that. Look at his build. It's not going to hold up. I love the guy. I think I'm just as high on him as y'all are. But he needs his workhorse back in front of him so he can stay as explosive. And if David Montgomery can do what he did last night, I actually think it bodes well for Jahmyr Gibbs in the long run. And this team's got a playoff mentality. Like, they're playing the long game already. That's why I think they're running Montgomery so much in week 1. They know Gibbs is an X factor. And they want to keep that ace in their pocket for when they need to pull it out. I think they're playing the long game already. I've got this team winning 11 games, winning their division. Jared Goff, God, he looked good last night. I thought he looked really good last night.
He was very composed.
He finally looks confident again. And you haven't seen that even last year. There were times where he looked like he didn't feel comfortable in his own skin. Last night, he looked like a guy who was like, yeah, I was the number 1 pick for a reason. I'm here. I'm going to win us ball games. I'm the reason we're a good football team. All right, Kermit. But, yeah, I don't know, dude. That and the defense was impressive last night. I know that they were covering basically us 3 out there. But, dude, if they can hold teams like the Chiefs to 20 points, they're going to win a lot of football games, and we may be low on their win total.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Ben Johnson's got to be a little bit better.
I think he will be.
But this is one of the only 2 teams we're talking about with an actual sample size. So, Brad, how do the Lions go under the win total?
I think it really depends on Jared Goff. I really do. I think this team is built to have a stout defense that's going to come in and week out and try to hold opponents 20 points and under. I think they have the defense to do it. Last year, building off to what they did in their final 8 games, they were really becoming that hard-hitting team defensively. But I think it really comes down to Jared Goff. If he can, keep his end of the bargain up. I think that, he did look really comfortable last night. I do think he made a lot of reads that kind of had the Lions miss a lot of opportunities late in the stretch in terms of scoring. But it really does, to me, it really is Goff. It's Goff or bust, really. I think, he didn't look all that poised last year. I thought there was a lot of games last year where he kind of struggled a good bit and was the reason why the Lions lost. But if he cannot be the reason why the Lions lose this year, I think that they could be really big contenders in the NFC.
Josh, I think you said something that resonated. Confidence. Talking about Jared Goff. The last time we saw Jared Goff confident, I'll tell you when I think the last time we saw Jared Goff confident. 2018.
Bring it
2018.
up.
Because you know what's hard to believe? This is year 3 for Jared Goff in Detroit.
Yeah.
It's year 3.
Was 2018 the year that we had that shootout with the Rams and the Chiefs
I believe
on Monday Night Football?
So.
No,
Because that's the specific game I was thinking of. But God, he was so
because
good in
that
game.
year everybody was wanting the Rams and Chiefs and repeat the rematch
yeah.
in the Super Bowl.
That was
Yeah.
that was the year that Belichick completely exposed them.
Yeah.
2018.
Yep. Same year.
Yeah, and then the next season they were decent,
They
but
were
did not
fine.
make. They were 9-7, but they did not make the playoffs. They traded for Ramsey in the middle of the year, and the 49ers eliminated them late in the season.
Rest in peace, Todd Gurley.
2020 was like the COVID year. I didn't even think that the reason why I bring that up and the reason that the word confidence resonated with me so much was because of the fact that even in 2020 he didn't look confident.
No.
Do you guys remember his press conference after they beat the Seahawks in the first round? He was angry. He was not happy. And they had just won a playoff game. And he just kind of sat there and looked at his thumbs and was just like, yeah, I mean, we were the better team. We went in and we did what we had to do. You think he knew what was about to happen? You think he knew?
Probably. Dude,
that
the
he was
writing
about to
was
be
on the
traded?
wall for a while, I
And
feel
they went
like.
they lost to the Packers at Lambeau the next week.
Yeah, I feel like the writing was on the wall for him to get moved for a long time.
Yeah.
The McVay wanting to better quarterback and this, that, and the other.
And
But
so the Rams said, let's mortgage our future and win a Super Bowl. It only worked for 2 teams in a row,
Yeah.
the Rams
it
and the
worked.
Bucs.
But I mean, also we're starting to look at it. How much different is Jared Goff than the Matt Stafford they got?
Well, I mean, Matt Stafford just goes like this.
Yeah,
He's got
but
the ring. He's
That's,
got
that's
the
it.
ring.
End of argument. End
God,
of conversation.
this Jared Goff probably wins a title with that team. Obviously, he
We'll
wasn't
see.
this Jared Goff at that time, but
We'll see. Got to see it to believe it. Heading into the offseason, this was my favorite to win this division, the Minnesota Vikings. I have pivoted. We'll get to who I think will win the division here shortly. But this is a team that won 13 games last year, and you're telling me their win total is at 8.5.
a lot of
And
one-score games.
you bring in Brian Flores to coordinate your defense. I don't see that big of a drop off. I think that they are going to have some growing pains. I do think that they need a corner, and they don't have one
At all.
at all.
At all, dude. They could pull some guys from college football right now to be better than what they have on that roster.
And that's why the Bucks, I think, like you said earlier today, that's why I would entertain the Bucks to potentially even go into Minnesota and beat them on Sunday. They don't have corners. Who's going to cover Evans and Godwin?
And guess who's feeling dangerous?
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I'm the only one of us 3 that has them going over the total, but it's only by a game. I have them going 9-8. I have a few teams at 9-8 that end up equating to another tiebreaker, kind of like I had the AFC. And, at that point, they will miss the playoffs as a result. But I don't see them being that much worse. The one-score game thing is a big factor, like you said, Josh. But, I mean, why aren't you as bullish as me? Why are they going to regress so bad?
For starters, that defense is awful.
It's bad.
In my opinion. It's so bad. And I'm sorry, but putting up 30 points a game is just not repeatable, especially when Dalvin Cook's out of the building. And you can't rely on Justin Jefferson just to be Superman all the time. I mean, he was that offense last year. Also, Adam Thielen's out the door, and I get it. It's old man Thielen, this, that, and the other.
Addison.
But he's still a good ball. I know. But again, you're counting on a rookie, and it's Rookies don't always just step right in and be amazing. Now, wide receiver can be a little bit of the exception, as we've seen in recent years.
Sure.
But I think this team and Kirk Cousins is going to be the deciding factor here. If Kirk can play like he did last year, then they'll be just fine. But I don't know if he can do that again. I don't know if he can go out and just win you one-score ball games all the time. I don't think he's that guy.
We're going to have to see how many games they play in prime time. 1,
Oh, Lord.
2,
That's
3,
big.
4,
Oh, no.
5 games in
Oh,
prime
no.
time.
Well, that's 5 losses.
Fi-
Right there.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
there.
5 losses right there.
5 games in prime time.
Damn.
However,
Dude, I don't think they're gonna have any running game.
No.
I
Dog, I
don't
mean,
think Alexander Matterson's a viable
Those-
default.
Those primetime games are at Philadelphia,
Loss.
at Denver.
Loss. Wait, early in the
When
season, late in
is
the
it?
season.
It is week 11.
Yeah, give me an L. That's an L right there.
I'm gonna lean loss.
San Francisco at home.
Loss.
Chicago at home. That's a win.
I have a win. Yeah, I have them losing in
Yeah.
Chicago. So here are my losses for Minnesota. I have at Philly, at Carolina, homer pick,
Jesus.
Kansas City, San Francisco, at Green Bay, at Atlanta, at Denver, at the Rams, or not the Rams, I'm sorry, Raiders, at the Raiders, at the Bengals, and at Detroit.
So you have them at 7 wins?
Yes, 7-10. Dude, I had to give the Raiders a win somewhere.
Yeah, right. Brad, what's your take on the Vikings?
The biggest thing for me is their defense. Like you guys have brought up, they ranked 28th last year in total defense. They did nothing in the offseason to add to that defense to boost them up to be even somewhat better. They brought in Marcus Davenport. From a Saints fan, good luck with him. He loves being a healthy scratch every Sunday.
Roadrunners.
Yeah, so I have no faith in that defense. Losing Dalvin Cook, I think, is going to be a bigger issue for them than they think it's going to be. They could potentially be in the market for trading for a running back come the trade deadline. It could happen. If that were to happen, I would like their chances more of going on the over. But you're relying on Kirk Cousins. I mean, you're relying on Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson to really be like key people to take this team over the hump. And I like Jefferson. He's amazing. He's the number 1 receiver in the league.
So
but
good.
I don't think that he's enough to get this team back to where they were last year. I like Hawkinson too. I think he's a pretty stellar tight end, but he doesn't really move the needle for me as much as other tight ends in the leagues do. So yeah, I have them at 8 wins. They could have easily went 8-9 last year. I mean, easily. So I feel like 8-9 is pretty solid for them.
Yeah.
This is a contract year for Kirk Cousins, also, by the way.
Yes.
Spent a lot of time on
to
the
a younger
Vikings.
quarterback.
Yeah, it is time. I have waited 4 years for this.
Same.
I have been waiting 4 years for this. Just a little bit of context. Jordan Love, as a junior at Utah State, was one of the best college quarterbacks I've
Phenomenal.
seen on tape. You watch his junior year on tape, one of the best college quarterbacks you will ever see in a singular season. Why does the name? I think Chad Wells was the name of that was the name of the head coach that was
right.
in Utah State. I'm looking it up to confirm it. That 2018 season with Jordan Love was one of Matt Wells. Okay, so I got the last name right. Matt Wells. That was one of the best That was one of the best seasons a quarterback has ever put on tape I've ever seen in college football. The following season, he loses his entire coaching staff. He loses all 10 starters. He loses
all of his receivers.
Not only all of his receivers, all 5 linemen and his running back and his tight end. Loses everyone. Loses literally everyone. So has a brand new coaching staff, and this was pre-transfer portal. So you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't transfer or anything like that.
And you couldn't really bring that many guys in.
100%. 100%. Especially in Logan, Utah, playing in the Mountain West.
Nobody's coming there.
2019 was not pretty. His senior year was not pretty. If he would have replicated what he did as a junior, as a senior, he's a top 5 pick.
Easily.
He would have been a top 5 pick.
Easily.
But because he struggled so badly as a senior, with all of that as an excuse, he absolutely plummeted to the end of the first round. I was wondering who was going to take the swing. I weirdly thought it was going to be Indianapolis at the time.
I did not expect the Packers.
But it ended up being Green Bay.
No one expected the Packers.
No one expected Aaron Rodgers to go scorched earth after that either. Those 2 years after they did that, he played like a man that was pissed. He played like a man that was pissed. He was absolutely pissed.
It was literally the Favre Rodgers all over again.
I think people can be that. I make all those points and I bring up all that context to just kind of bring it to this. I think people can be easily removed from how good Jordan Love can be. And in the right system and under the right play calling to do exactly the opposite of, Brad, what you talked about with Anthony Richardson. Sit, wait, learn, develop. That is all that has happened here. I love it. I'm all in. I have the Green Bay Packers winning this division. And like we talked about yesterday off the air, they're going to do it again when we're 40. 13 years, 14 years from now, that this is going to work. And then 13, 14 years from now, they're going to do it again. They're going to do it again.
They have the model for drafting quarterbacks.
Before we go to Brad to hear how he has the under, Josh, tell me why that we should tell me why we're going to be right.
Because Jordan Love is, like you said, Jordan Love's going to be that guy. The guy we saw from 18 at Utah State, who was arguably the best quarterback had he come out in that draft class. The guy, he knows how to run an offense. He is not sitting here saying he's going to, don't take this out of context, he's not going to be better than Aaron Rodgers. No. But he's going to be a better fit to what Matt LaFleur wants to do in that offense. He is going to do what Matt LaFleur wants to do where Aaron Rodgers would not. Aaron Rodgers was going to do his thing. He was going to change plays at the line of scrimmage and make it his offense. Jordan Love is going to run the offense. I think this Green Bay Packers team and this offense more specifically is going to look a lot more like the style of offense we see in San Francisco, but with a higher level of quarterback play. And there hasn't been a lot of high-level quarterback play in San Francisco. You see that with that same style of offense in Green Bay with all these young receivers and weapons and 2 really talented running backs. I think this offense has a chance to be really good.
Really good. It concerns me Watson's out week 1.
Yeah, but get him healthy. I think they can beat the Bears week 1 without Christian Watson. I like Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed and Luke Musgrave, the rookie tight end, right?
Yeah. Brad, why is everything we're saying a whole load of shit?
It's far off. I'm a big believer in Jordan Love. I think that he would have the potential to be the next great Packers quarterback. But I do think this year is going to be a little bit of a learning, curve for him. I think that there are going to be a lot of ups and downs for this team. Their defense, just 2 years ago was like top 5, top 10, and then they plummeted all the way down to almost, reaching the 20s. So I don't think their defense is going to fall off the earth, become a bottom 5 defense, but they did show a lot of signs last year of struggling. I like the future of the Packers, but as of right now, I'm not as high on them. I have them at 7-11. So, 10-7, not 7. It's not 18 games. I don't think they added another game for
They
players.
will
If
in
they
the
added,
future. They will in
they
the future.
will. Soon it'll be a 20-game season. It's going to happen. But I have them at 7-10. I think it's going to be an up and down year, but I think 7-10. With the first year without your quarterback that you've had for the past 15 years, I would see that as a win and as a great start to the Love era.
And I mean, there are a lot of scenarios at play. I think the most interesting team in the league. Another interesting team is the Chicago Bears. How big of a leap does Justin Fields take? They had the most cap space in the NFL heading into the offseason. Traded out from number 1, I think way, way too far, all the way down to number 9. And
Jalen Carter.
from there,
How do you skip on Jalen?
you could have drafted him at
Sorry, not
1.
to-
You
yeah.
could have literally drafted him at 1,
But
and
he
you
was
have him at
also
9.
there at 9.
Yeah. I mean, ridiculous. That being said, the Bears do have a lot to play for this season with those heightened expectations that Fields is supposed to have. But, at the end of the day, the roster still needs help. And that's why I have them under. I have Chicago going 5-12. Good for the tied for the third worst record in the NFC for me. Brad, where do you have them?
I have them at 6-11.
6-11.
Yeah. So
What do they
I
what do they
don't
got to do to go over the win total?
Fields has got to take that next step. I think he will take the next step, but I don't think it'll be as big as some people think it will be. He's definitely going to struggle. I mean, they did bring in DJ Moore. I like Khalil Herbert. I think that he could be something nice, tech native. But ultimately, that defense is not good. I do not think it's good. I think they're going to struggle a lot. I think they're going to be in a lot of high scoring games because I do think that offense can produce points, but I think ultimately that defense is going to let them down quite a bit. But I mean, if DJ Moore and Fields click on a level that we've never seen DJ Moore achieve while he was in Carolina, that offense could be really nasty, and they could get past 8, even maybe 9 wins. But for right now, I think that defense is just really holding them back. And I think the offensive line is still a bit of a big question mark for them, too. I know they made a lot of additions in the offseason of getting him good protection, but it's still going to be something to really pay attention to. But I think 6-11, I mean, going from, winning 3 games to 6 games, that's a huge achievement for me. That would be, as a Bears fan, I'd be like, wow, we're actually moving in the right direction.
Going from the worst team in the league to winning a few more games, I think definitely would be something in the right direction. Josh, you're a little more optimistic.
I am, mainly because I'm a big Justin Fields fan. He does not. He is the least of my concerns with this team, to be honest with you. Especially now that he's got DJ Moore at his disposal. I think DJ Moore could have the AJ Brown to Jalen Hurts effect to that offense.
Agreed.
I think that is completely in the realm of possibilities because he also not only creates a number 1 receiver, he also opens up the field a ton for everyone else, more specifically Darnell Mooney and Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
I mean, we're out here trotting Darnell Mooney out to try to be a wide receiver 1, which was never going to happen. But him as a wide receiver 2, I absolutely love.
When's the last time you saw the name Matt Eberflus come across any timeline or any tweet or anything?
When he was hired?
Literally.
Yeah,
literally.
Which I love.
Nobody
flying under the radar.
Nobody is talking about him as a head coach at all.
But here's where I flip the coin. That defense. they might have to score 30 points to win games.
And
Like,
I don't see that happening.
I think they're completely building this defense the wrong way. I like their secondary, and I'm intrigued by their linebackers. Going out and spending a lot of money on Tremaine Edmonds and God, who was the other linebacker they signed from the Eagles? T.J. Edwards. T.J.
Yep.
Edwards. A lot of money on two linebackers, a position that, I mean, at this point, a lot of teams don't like to spend a lot of money in unless your name is Fred Warner. You'd rather spend that money on pass rushers, and they don't have any good pass rushers. Their best pass rusher is Yannick Ngakoue, and that does not give me any confidence in that defense.
4
You
years
win
ago
up-
it would have, but not now.
Yeah, exactly. You win up front. All right,
Well,
your guys in the
it's not bad.
secondary can be great, but they're not going to cover for 5-6 seconds. And if you're not generating a pass rush, you don't have a good defense. So I think they're building their defense the wrong way, and that scares the living hell out of me.
Yep.
But I have enough confidence in Justin Fields to. He carried that offense last year. With better supporting cast this year, I think he could be really, really good.
Bradley's New Orleans Saints. The favorite to
our
win the
teams
NFC
now.
South. Yeah, we are. We haven't touched on any of our three favorite teams yet. Two of
We're
them
all in
reside
the
in the
NFC
NFC
too.
South. Yeah, well, dude, everyone that we're friends with is all like everyone around here that we're friends with. We have Packers fan friends, we have Commanders fan friends, we have Eagles
Must be
fan
living
friends.
on the east side of the country thing.
Well, the AFC has teams in the East too,
Yeah.
but the Saints 9.5, the favorites via Vegas to win this division. I think that would solely come off of quarterback play. It's not like I have them going super south of the total. I have them at 9-8. And I also have them making the playoffs via tiebreak at 9-8. I think my NFC hot take of the season is I have two teams in the NFC South making the playoffs.
Yeah, that's bold.
Well, look at the schedules. It's the anti-AFC East, NFC East dynamic. They play the AFC South. They're going to play the Titans, the Colts, and the Texans. And they're also going to play the Falcons twice. And they're going to play the Panthers twice. And they're going to play the Bucks twice. Clearly, going into the year, this is going to be the most competently quarterbacked team in the division. Now, as the rest of the roster goes, we will see. Dennis Allen. We'll see.
Yeah. Hot
We'll
seat.
see. We will. Yeah, I agree. I think
seat.
so. I think so. But Brad, this is your team. Tell us what has you. I mean, not even what makes you think that they're going to go over, but what has you excited about this team?
I think mainly right now it's Chris Olave. I think last year with Andy Dalton, he flashed very brightly. I think that he has the capabilities with Derek Carr to become a top receiver in the league. I mean, just look what Carr did with Devontae Adams last year. I mean, the Raiders might not have been great, but their connection was pretty stellar. So I'm really excited about that. I think Olave can really push that receiving core to the next level. I really like the defense. I know last year our defensive line wasn't all that great. I think with the addition of Brian Barisi and Saunders from the New York Jets, I think those two could be absolute studs. I like Demario Davis. I've been hearing a lot, throughout camp that Marshawn Lattimore is back to being what he's always been. So, I know he's dealing with some injuries right now, but if he can stay healthy, I think he's a solid. He's always been a solid cornerback for us, and if he can get back to being like that top 5, cornerback that he once was, I think that we could be solid. It comes down to Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. That's the biggest thing about this team. I think if either one of them hits, I think we'll be fine. But if they both struggle, then it's going to be a long season. I have them at 10-7. I have them just right over the over. So, I don't know. I'm always wary about talking about the Saints because last year I got pretty hyped because I was like, oh yeah, well, Jameis Winston, he came in, went like 5-2 when he was healthy. So he's going to be great. And then he went down with a back injury. And then Michael Thomas got hurt, and then just a plethora of injuries. I think that's the biggest thing too about this team too is just a lot of injuries. We've for about 2.5 years, it's just been nothing but injuries after injuries with all of our key players. So I don't know. I'm optimistic going into the season, but I'm not going to be disappointed if they finish like 5-12. So I don't know. We'll
You
see.
wouldn't be disappointed if they finish 5-12.
No,
5-12.
no, because I'm telling you, I see the 10-7 and I see the 5-12. It
Sure.
could go
Right.
either way. I don't see this team. I want to see this team competing for championships like NFC championships and things like that, Super Bowl. But like Derek Carr has to sell me on him. Like that's the thing. Like he's shown that he's capable of being a solid quarterback, but he
MVP
hasn't done it
candidate one year.
consistently. Yeah, I mean he was. I mean, yeah, the Raiders looking really nice that
Till he
year.
got hurt.
Would have won it. Would have won it. If he didn't get
I
hurt.
don't know. Carson Wentz had a case, right?
That was not the
Yeah.
same year.
Not
That
the
was
same
2
year.
years
Yeah, I
apart.
mean-
Consecutive years, right?
And just
No, it was
just 3
2015.
years
Was it?
ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And just 3 years ago, I mean, Carr had 27 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That would have like 4,000 yards. So he's capable of putting up great stats. It's just the consistency isn't there. So that's what I'm looking for this year within the Saints. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 10-7. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish 5-12. It's one of those teams and one of those rosters where it could go sideways quickly, like really quick. So I'm trying to stay optimistic for this year. We'll see how we do week 1, but I have them barely getting over the over.
Josh and I are both like on the opposite side of the flip. 9.5. I have them at 9-8. Josh does as well.
I got him 8-9. Just under
That's-
500.
Oh yeah, I was looking at the wrong thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
8-9.
8-9.
8-9. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
Dennis Allen doesn't do it for me.
Me neither.
Derek Carr doesn't do it for me.
Derek Carr does it for me. Dennis Allen does not.
Doesn't do it for me. You said he's the best quarterback in the division. I disagree.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Who is it? Dennis Ritter or Desmond
Yeah.
Ritter?
No, dude, it's Bryce Young. I
Right
know
now?
that's a homer pick. I don't care. I know it's a homer
Listen,
pick. It sounds like a homer pick.
Yeah.
I think he's the most competent, but we'll get to
man.
that.
Right now? In
Yeah.
2023? In 2025, we'll have a conversation, but
Nah, dude, right now.
2023?
I would say, out of all my doubts about Carr, I do think he is the best quarterback in the division. But Bryce Young, yes, 2025, we're going to be talking about him being the best. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I think him being we'll get to that in a minute. But no, Derek Carr doesn't do it for me at all. Like Chris Olave, yes, he can support a number 1 receiver like Chris Olave. Michael Thomas hasn't shown he can play more than 5 games in a season in 3 years now.
Well, what if he has a big year?
Well, I mean, here's the thing about
Prove it to me.
That's
Yeah,
not what
it's
I
gonna
asked.
be a
I said,
prove it
what if
year.
he has a
It
big
is.
year?
And that's my response. Prove it to me. Show me that he can stay on the field. I gotta see it. You know?
Sure.
I gotta see it.
Sure.
Like obviously he's capable of it, but we haven't seen him do it in 3 years now. And he's not getting younger. I know Brad, I think you're pretty high on Juwan Johnson at tight end. Don't love Juwan Johnson at tight end. I think he's serviceable, whatever. You're still gonna see a lot of Taysom Hill. And then the defense.
Taysom
Cam Jordan's
Hill at
really
tight
good.
end.
Yeah, Taysom Hill. Cam Jordan's still going to be awesome. I think Demario Davis took a little bit of a step back last year, and I think that might continue. Same with Marshawn
he's getting
Lattimore.
older.
That's the thing. That whole defense is getting older. Like as much as
Yeah.
I still believe in Cam Jordan, and I know he's going to wreck Carolina because he just always does it. He's not getting younger either. And Marshawn Lattimore, same thing. Not getting younger, not getting healthier either. I mean, I think he's still going to deal with injury issues and still going to lock up Mike Evans every time he sees him. But I don't know. The team just they seem like a middling team again to me.
Sure. No, I mean, 'cause
That's
like
the
I
whole
said,
division, though.
for me, it could go either way. Yeah,
That's the
it
whole
really
division.
is.
The whole division's a bunch of middling teams.
The Atlanta Falcons. I think this is also they're right up there with the Packers as one of the most interesting teams of the offseason. How do the new pieces incorporate? What are we going to get out of the quote unquote joker position with Cordell
Trade
Patterson?
deadline.
History would tell us Kyle Pitts is not going to break out in this game. The defense, though, I think got a lot better in the offseason. They found a number one corner. AJ Terrell is a number one corner.
Yep.
They have help at safety. Grady Jarrett is one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL. It seems like the defense is finally coming together.
Added Calais Campbell.
There is something added Calais Campbell. There is something that we all have to seem to like, that we all put them above the win total at 8.5. But again, you can't harp on it enough. The schedule is easy. The schedule is not very difficult. I think, Brad and I went to battle with one of our friends, Brett, for a long time this offseason about how it's very doable that the Falcons win over 8 games. Because look who they play. I mean, not only do you play the AFC South and the NFC South, you also play Washington. You also play Arizona. You play both. I mean, those should both be very winnable games.
Yep.
If not easily winnable games.
Yeah.
The way that this goes under, and I think you guys both can agree with me, the way this season goes off the rails and costs Arthur Smith his job is if Desmond Ridder completely tanks.
Yeah.
And I think there's a possibility of that happening.
So I want to start on this one.
Yeah, go.
I think if Desmond Ridder can just quite simply throw forward passes,
Just
they
be fine.
clear this total. Because Marcus Mariota couldn't do that last year.
Yep.
I mean, we saw it on Thursday Night Football against Carolina. It was terrible. I mean, the primetime slot that everybody watched, that was one of the worst quarterback games I've ever seen. But Desmond Ridder, liked him coming out of the draft. Didn't love him, but I think he can be an average at best quarterback. Also, if he sucks, guess who's coming in? Taylor Heineke.
Oh, yeah.
What a guy, and he's been there, done that. So,
Hey, is it weird to say that I'm more confident in Heineke than Ridder?
Nope, because I am too.
Yeah.
But you know who I'm most confident in? Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, definitely. Give him, dude. Okay,
he should have 350 touches this season.
What happens? What happens if they go out there on Sunday
and he gets the Jahmyr Gibbs treatment?
Thank you. What happens? We
riot. Arthur Smith is fired.
We riot
on the spot.
Oh my god!
Arthur Smith is fired on the spot if that happens.
Hey, but
you might be looking at 35 touches Sunday.
Yeah, I hope so for my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Algier was a 1,000-yard rusher.
I don't care. Algier can kick rocks. It's Bijan Robinson or nothing. But I also said the same thing about Kyle Pitts, and look where we are. So,
Brad, why are the Falcons going over the total?
The running back room. I mean, Bijan's going to be a stud. I think Tyler Algier showed a lot last year. Cordell Patterson, he's shown that he can be a pretty solid running back, and now with that Joker position, I don't know what that's going to be yet. I guess we'll find out Sunday. We'll get a little taste of Sunday, but I think that running back committee is going to be the reason why they get over 9 wins. They're not too high on their defense as much as you, Davison. But I think they definitely brought in a lot of players that are on. I like Calais Campbell. I think he's all right, but he's getting towards the end of his career. I mean, he's starting to get a little bit older.
You know who I forgot they signed?
Jesse Bates.
Yes.
I was just thinking the same thing.
Yes.
I was going to bring up Bates.
I was getting ready to say that. Nice. I saw you light up. I was like, he just thought the same thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Bates is going to be nice. AJ Terrell, he's nice, but that defensive line is still a big question mark for me.
Sure.
Their linebacker room is a big question mark. I know they brought in Caden Ellis from the Saints. He showed a lot of flashes last year, but he hasn't shown that he could be like the linebacker, like a starting linebacker for the team. But yeah, really, it's going to be that running back committee. I don't have a lot of faith in Desmond Ritter. I could see Heineke come in late towards the season if they're going to be making a playoff push, and if Ritter isn't doing it for him. So I don't think Ritter is going to be the ultimate reason why they go over. I think he could be the reason why they go under. But I don't see him being like the factor of him because, like you said, he's going to little dump off pass here and there. He might average about 15 passes per game when it's all said and done. He might be in that 14 to 15 passes a game.
You know what we haven't mentioned at all about this roster too? They have one of the best offensive lines in the NFC.
They've got a phenomenal
There's three guys on that offensive line that you could plug and start on almost any roster in the NFL. Lindstrom, McGarry, and Jake Matthews could start on any team. Those three guys are studs. Especially Lindstrom has also solidified himself as one of the best guards in the NFL.
Yeah, but I love Jake Matthews.
I think
are so important.
I think you look at this roster, and I mean, yes, I have this team winning the division. Now,
I do too. Hate it.
As we advance, I'm going to just leave. We're going to get to Josh last. I'm just going to say this and leave the cabinet on the cutting room floor here. I think this is the easiest win total pick for me of them all. I have the Panthers winning 4 games.
Oh
my gosh.
I have the Panthers winning 4 games, 4 games shy of their total. I think that we have not seen a whole lot of excellence from number 1 picks in year 1 in the past. As much as I believe in Bryce Young, and he was my QB1 throughout this entire process, size differences aside and everything. What do you have? What do you have? I mean, you're already going to probably be down your starting 2 wide receivers in week 1, and you already traded away your number 1 target in the offseason to go get the quarterback that you coveted. Miles Sanders, okay. Is J.C. Horn going to be healthy? You can count on Jeremy Chin. When's Brian Burns going to get there? We talk a lot about Chris Jones. When's Brian Burns going to get there? Brian Burns is still sitting at home. I like them to comfortably
he's not playing Sunday.
I know. Yep. No, he's not. I like them to be comfortably under the win total as one of the worst teams in the NFL at 4-13. I'm sorry, Josh. Brad, why are you convinced that they do the same thing?
Being that bad, I have them finishing at 7-10. I think that this is a team that's built for the future. I'm very, very nervous as a Saints fan going forward in the future because I know the Panthers are up and coming. They're going to be legit for us. I think this year you have Bryce Young. He's a rookie quarterback. He's going to struggle, especially with the lack of receiving help around him right now. I think Miles Sanders was a really nice addition. You always need a solid running game when you have a rookie quarterback, so I think he's going to be able to produce in that offense, especially in an offense that had like Chuba Hubbard and guys that aren't like elite running backs putting up pretty solid numbers. Their defense is going to be nice. It is a matter of getting your best players to come play week 1 and following weeks. But I think they'll pay Burns. I don't see them not paying him, so he should be good. But I think it's a weak division. I see a lot of wins that they could get. They could split a lot of wins with people within the division, but I think it is going to be a rocky start. But long-term wise, the Panthers are going to be super solid. And as a Panthers fan, I would be pretty excited about the future with Bryce Young.
Josh, you have the floor.
So, I'm on the under, but I'm going to talk about how they can go over. Because you guys have already laid out all the options and reasons why they go under. Brian Burns, J.C. Horn, all the question marks, receiver room, all that. Here's why they can go over. One of the best coaching staffs, when you look at it, I mean, Frank Reich has put together a group of guys. James Campen, Deuce Staley, Josh McCown, Dom
Like Deuce Staley.
Capers, Ihiro Avero. D'Angelo Hall, I did not realize, is on this staff as your defensive backs coach.
Interesting.
Did
I didn't
not
know
know that. Jim Caldwell is on this staff. I mean, you have a star-studded staff top to bottom. So you know you're going to get some of the best coaching for a very, very young roster. But I also, like I stated when we were talking about the Saints, I think that Bryce Young can come in from day one. He is going to give us something we haven't had since 2015, 2016, confident quarterback play. And if that defense stays healthy, I mean, you have Shy Tuttle brought in to play nose tackle from the New Orleans Saints. Loved that signing this offseason. To go alongside Derek Brown, Brian Burns, up on the defensive line. Well, hopefully Brian Burns if he gets there.
Well.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, if he doesn't play, you've still got other pass rushers you can bring in. Frankie Louvu, I love me some Frankie Louvu, and you can slot him down and bring up a linebacker. He is a phenomenal pass rusher, and he can fill in. The signing of Von Bell, Dante Jackson, J.C. Horn, Xavier Woods. You've got a secondary. You've got guys on defense as long as everybody's there.
Hey, Josh.
Yeah.
I have one question. That I like Frank Reich. What has he done? Nothing.
I know.
And that's why anything.
I think I talked to you about this when the hiring was made. I didn't love the hiring. Initially.
Who did you want?
I wanted a guy who we fired. I wanted Joe Brady 2 years ago.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I know.
That's invalid.
Now that was 2 years ago. Things have changed. But no, I don't know. I mean, I also would have liked us to fire Matt Rule a year earlier and get Brian Daboll, but that's neither here nor there. But this coaching cycle, I didn't love. I wanted, if I had to say, I probably wanted DeMeco Ryans at the end of the day. I would have loved a DeMeco Ryans hire because I didn't really see a lot of good. I want an offensive guy, but it's not going to happen. I didn't see an offensive guy that was ready for a head coaching job this cycle, in my opinion. But the reason I felt better about the Frank Reich hire is because, like the staff I named, he's got a competent group of guys ready to come in, coach up these young players, and get this team ready to roll. So I think they can go over with competent QB play.
Yeah, look what Frank Reich did when he was with the Eagles as the OC. I mean, he was making fucking Wentz look like a superstar out there, man.
Yeah, Bryce Young's a much better quarterback than Carson Wentz, I think. And I think Jonathan Mingo is going to have to be the guy. That's going to be the X factor, I think, for this team. Mingo's got to be good.
Drafted him.
I love him. I think he's got a chance to be really, really good.
Those Ole Miss receivers, man.
Please let him be A.J. Brown.
The Fighting Baker Mayfields.
Feeling dangerous.
We all have them going under. I'm not as down on them as maybe some others would be, or maybe as you two would be. I have more wins for that. Wait, hold on. Brad, did you have them winning 4 games? Brad, you had them winning 4 games. So I have as many wins as you two do combined.
Damn, you gave them 6 games?
I gave them 6 wins.
Yeah, I got 2.
there's just too much skill at too many pivotal positions outside of the offensive line that has been beaten and
Abysmal.
battered. Well, I mean, it's been beaten and battered, and guys have been
They're not
out
gonna
and
be
guys have been
good.
hurt. You have two wide receiver ones on opposite sides of the field. I think you have a very capable
Till
running
Mike
back.
Evans is traded.
Maybe you have a very capable, I think, running back 1-2 tandem in Rashad White and a guy that I was talking to you about,
Yeah.
Josh, the other day that no one has heard about yet, but you will before the end of the season, Sean Tucker. You still have Devin White. You still have Levante David. You still have your core on defense. They're going to win games on defense alone, and that's why I have them getting to 6 wins. Brad and I have a little side bet going this year of who wins more games, the Rams or the Bucks. Why are the Bucks going to win less games than the Rams, Brad?
Baker Mayfield. Simple as that. I mean, it's simple as that. No, I mean, I think last year was very telling of where the Bucks are trending. Brady really, Brady really carried that team. If Brady was not on that team, you're talking about that team probably being a 4 to 5 win team last year. Godwin, yes, is really nice, but he's starting to show that he can't really stay healthy. Mike Evans, I do like Mike Evans. I think he's a very overlooked receiver in the NFL. He consistently puts up 1,000 yards a year, which is just insane to think about. But he's going to get traded. I feel like he's going to be someone on that offense that eventually does get picked during the trade deadline. I like Rashad White. I think he could be nice, but that offensive line, like you guys talked about, is absolute shit. It is riddled with a bunch of injuries. They had who I think someone retired this offseason too that started for them on the offensive line.
Ryan Jensen.
Don't like the tight end. Yeah. What's it, the tight end? I don't even know who the fuck their tight end is. So someone can indulge me on who their tight end room is. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I know they are in a very weak division. But for me, they have the worst quarterback in the division, and I keep on pounding it. If you have a good quarterback, I feel strong about your team. They do not. I do not like Baker Mayfield. I don't know what Kyle Trask is. None of us know what Kyle Trask is. So
Not good.
there could be some upside, but I don't know. I feel like this is going to be a team that's going to be fighting to get that first overall pick for Caleb Williams come next April.
This man said he is the worst quarterback in the division when he has a playoff win, and Desmond Ridder and Bryce Young are in the division.
Bryce is so much better than Baker
I mean,
Mayfield.
long term, we're talking 20.
No, dude, right now.
Give me
No, right now.
dude, he is gonna struggle.
I don't know if Ridder is. He's not going to struggle. The team's going to be bad. He's not going to make bad decisions.
He's gonna struggle as a result.
Well, yeah, but it's different. Different than Baker struggles.
Josh, you have Tampa Bay winning week 7 against the Falcons and week 10 against the Titans, and that's it.
Yeah. This team sucks. Plain and simple. They don't want to win football games.
There's no way they win 2 games.
They don't want to win. First coach fired. Todd Bowles.
Ooh. Do we want to get out our first coach fired right now real quick?
I just figured I'd knock it out while we're here.
Todd Bowles.
Todd Bowles.
What do you think, Brad? Who's the first coach fired?
I was about to say what's his name, but he left the team. The Cardinals head coach from last year.
Gannon? Oh, Kingsbury?
Oh, Cliff.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
could be Gannon with all the fried stuff he's throwing out there.
I got a curveball for you.
I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna hurt me to say it. But if our season does go completely south, Dennis Allen, I definitely could see it happening.
I got a curveball for you. The Rams get off to a horrid start, and Sean McVay says, "Fuck!" And Sean McVay says, "Fuck this, I quit."
Yeah, but that's
Oh,
not
so you think
fired.
so you think he would just
Well,
outright
first
quit?
coach leaves. No, I
Okay,
think he would take a quote unquote leave of absence and
yeah,
never
they're
come
not
back.
firing Sean McVay.
He would take a leave of absence and never come back.
Yeah.
What's his contract like? Is he up for renegotiation and stuff?
Well,
Well,
he almost retired last
another
year.
underrated
Yeah,
story.
yeah.
He's got a baby on the way.
Dude, and he almost, the writing was on the wall last year that he was going to be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And that he wasn't coming back.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
But,
Bucks are going to suck. You know who's not going to suck? My San Francisco 49ers. A very tumultuous offseason filled with quarterback headlines and, whiffing on the number 3 pick in 2020, which is or 2021 rather, which is going to haunt me for forever because that pick should have been Justin Fields. Even if that pick is Mac Jones,
you might have a Super Bowl.
Even if that pick is Mac Jones,
you might have a Super Bowl.
Right. But that being said, there aren't a lot of rosters that can trade 3 years of ones and get away with it. But this team did it. They've gone to two.
Bosa.
They've gone to 2 NFC Championship games since they committed that cardinal sin, and I don't see any signs of slowing down. I'm going to be incredibly biased, but I think this win total is low. I think they can easily get to 12. I think and don't get me wrong, going to the ketchup bottle in week 1 scares the fuck out of me. Playing the Steelers on the road in week 1 gives me nightmares. But if they win that game, you have the Rams, you have the Giants at home, and then you have the Cardinals, and then you have the Cowboys, who we are the fathers of. You could be 5-0. And right there, you're already halfway there. Guys, why are the 49ers going to continue what they've been doing? I'll let either one of you go ahead and take it.
So, I'm on the over, but they're not winning my division. And I think a lot of it is because of how they have mishandled the quarterback room. Yes, Brock Purdy's a great story. He's been really good. But NFL teams have, 8 games of tape on him now? And I think that matters. I do. I'm sorry, but a guy out of Iowa State drafted in the 7th round once teams start. That's not anything special as a talent. I mean, I think teams are going to start to figure it out. I think they're still going to be good. They're still going to make the playoffs. But they will have their struggles this season and have their ups and downs. And I think that starts in week 1. Like, I know we're not talking about week 1, like, betting lines in this podcast. But one of my best bets of week 1 is the Pittsburgh Steelers and save the points. I think the 49ers come out and struggle a little bit. But I don't know. Another team that I think is due for a little bit of regression. Nick Bosa getting signed is a big plus, though. Big plus.
Brad?
I'm the opposite. I'm a huge Purdy fan. I thought he did a lot last year to prove that he can be their quarterback of the future. They have the roster built around them. I mean, they have players. They have solid into the run game solid. They have Debo and IU. They have Kittle. I mean, the offensive line is terrific, and the defense is, projected to be number 1 again. I mean, they're my favorite to win the NFC. I think that as long as Purdy doesn't regress, there could be a sophomore slump. But I think overall, I liked what I saw from him last year. I don't think this is a scenario where it's like the 7th rounder played pretty well, and then he's gonna fall back to reality. I think that there's a lot of upside. There's a lot of potential for him to keep on growing as a quarterback and becoming more than just what he was last year, which would be phenomenal for the 49ers.
I'm not worried about any Kyle Shanahan offense. I'm just not. I'm really just not. Was Jimmy Garoppolo a great talent? The answer is no. I digress. We move on. The Seahawks. I think they had arguably the best draft, maybe outside of the Texans in the first round, but they got a dog in Devin Witherspoon, and they got my wide receiver one in Jackson Smith and Jigba. I don't see them soaring over this total. I have them at 9 wins. Brad, how many wins do you have them at?
I have at 9 too.
9 wins, yeah. We both have them. I thought so. We both have them at 9 wins. I think that there is a lot of things that can go wrong, but they're going to run the shit out of the football like they always do. They're going to play defense like they always do. And can Geno do it again? That's the question. Brad?
I think he can. I mean, he has the weapons around him. I mean, he has Metcalf, Lockett, and now Jigba. I think, he has a running back committee now with Walker and, oh my gosh,
Charbonnet.
Yeah, Charbonnet. I think he's going to be a stud. The offensive line is a little bit questionable. I don't love their offensive line. Their tight end position isn't all that great too. But their defense is young. I think they're going to have a lot of ups and downs, just like they did last year. I think they're going to have some of those games where they hold their opponents like 14 points, and then, like the game where they let Taysom Hill score like 4 touchdowns and have like 144 yards rushing. They're going to have games like that too. But I think that they repeat what they did last year. I think this team goes as far as Geno goes, and 9 to 10 games is about where I would see them. But they are built for the future. I think that they, long-term wise, they're going to be a nice opponent for the 49ers to compete for the West, as they always are. I feel like they always have been, which is kind of nuts. It's always just been the 49ers and Seahawks. The Rams, they won their Super Bowl, but now they're starting to go back to rebuild mode, and the Cardinals, the Cardinals.
Josh, why do you love the Seahawks?
Yeah, Brad, you said they're built for the future. I think they're built for right now.
Yeah.
I think this is...
He hasn't won in 13 games.
13-4.
Oh.
Yes, 13-4. I think if Geno can replicate last year, which I actually think he may even play better than last year, I think this is one of the top wide receiver rooms in the entire league, if not the top wide receiver room in the entire league.
It's up there.
If Kenneth Walker can come back and play at anywhere close to the level he was at last year, the 1-2 punch of Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet is going to be elite. The defense, they fixed every single hole I thought they had and then some this offseason. God, I love, like you said, the Devin Witherspoon ad. He screams Legion of Boom corner.
Dude, I was as a 49ers fan, I hated that pick for my feelings. I
know we talked about it at that time, dude. He screams Legion of Boom. But also, and this isn't because of like talent at this point, but I loved the idea of bringing back Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, of course.
Just for the vibes.
Of course.
Solely for the vibes.
For the vibes.
Yeah, dude, but
spent 1 year with the Rams and is just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm going back. No, dude, I think top to bottom, this might be the most complete team in football.
Wow.
Like, I have them with the second best record in the league, behind the Chiefs. And the Chiefs have already dropped a game.
Do you really think Geno can take him over that hump?
That's the big question.
I do, because the talent around him. I think he is an accelerated version of Kirk Cousins, and he's got way more talent around him. And we saw what Kirk did last year. I mean, there were points where he was in the MVP race. Not saying he should have been, but, I mean, Geno is arguably better and most definitely has a way better supporting cast and a 10 times better defense.
Yeah. Do we think if Geno has a regression this year, that they go after a top quarterback, I guess, in the draft? Because don't they still have the Broncos first
think
round next year?
quarterback's going to be deeper. That's a good question. Quarterback is
They
going to be
just gave
deeper
Gino
though
a
next
contract.
year.
They just gave
Yeah,
Gino
for
a
a few years.
contract.
But that's not going to stop them from maybe taking his
Drafting a guy.
Yeah, his
Yeah, they're not
successor.
making a trade.
Oh
But
yeah, no, yeah.
No trade. But I could see like a Michael Penix or maybe a Quinn Ewers if he drops in the draft, something of that nature. But
according to Tankathon, no, the Seahawks own their first round pick.
yeah, I mean, and I don't even think they'd have to, with as deep as this quarterback draft is, and I know this is a separate topic, but they could take a guy in the second or third and still have a guy that they could justify developing.
The only teams giving up their first round pick currently are the
Carolina.
Browns to the Texans, the Panthers to the Bears, and the Texans to the Cardinals.
Texans, yeah.
Rams, I think they're going to suck. I
Yep.
think Cooper Kupp,
No bueno.
does he play at all?
Probably not.
I'm leaning more no than yes.
Why would he?
He'll
They're not
play.
going to get off
doesn't-
to a good start.
If he doesn't-
he's going to be missing 4 games, right?
No, they
If
haven't
they put him on
missing
PUP,
4.
They haven't put him on PUP.
they haven't put him on PUP.
McVay
Yeah.
said
If
he's
they put
probably
him
going to
on
play week
IR,
2, I thought, right?
Well, I mean, but he didn't rule out putting him on IR. If they
He
put him
didn't.
on IR,
Then
he's not playing until week 9.
No, he's not
Yeah.
playing because they are
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
0-8.
Now,
Without
see, now
Kupp,
looking at that bet me and Davison made, I'm not so hot.
Cooper
Without
Kupp draft. Nah,
Yeah.
dude, no.
Yeah.
It was the Bucks and Rams, right?
yeah.
Yeah, Bucks are
Yeah,
mailing it
yeah.
in early.
Yeah,
Rams they do have a first round pick this year. Never mind. I was going to say they have no
They
reason to
they
mail it.
do.
Yeah, the Matthew Stafford draft, trade with all of the picks. Yeah, that's over. The Rams.
Do you know
own their
the
first round
last
pick.
time the Rams had a first round pick?
Oh, I think it's been 10 years.
No,
It's been
not
a
quite
long
that long.
time.
Not quite that long.
How long?
Last first round pick they made was Jared Goff.
So it's been
That was
8
the
years.
2018, right?
No,
Right?
like
No,
2015
I'm
or
sorry.
2016.
It was 16 because that was the
It was
Wentz
probably
draft,
16.
right? Wentz Goff was 16, I want to
Didn't they
say.
get Gurley after Goff? I think they got
Yeah, it
Gurley.
was
No.
2016, 7 years
16,
ago.
Okay. You were close on 10. But, dude, almost a decade since you've had a first round pick.
That's pathetic.
And you won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, when you mortgage
Riddle
your
me
season-
that. Riddle
Brad,
me
how do they
that.
hit the over?
Oh, well, I did not take into consideration that Kupp might go to IR.
And he might not.
I-
and he might not.
He may not.
And he might not. I don't love this team. I don't think they're going to be what they were, 2 years ago. But I just keep on saying quarterback. I think Matthew Stafford, when healthy, is better than. I think he's better than Geno. He's definitely better than whatever the fuck the Cardinals have.
Yeah.
And I would take him over Purdy right now. I think that we can all say that when Matthew Stafford's healthy, he would be better than Purdy. So
If he's healthy, he's
I
the best
like it
quarterback in the division.
yeah, so
But I think it's a big if.
I like them just because of that. If Cooper Kupp doesn't go to IR, he'll miss a couple games and come back. I'm a little bit higher on Cam Akers than I think a lot of people are. He's going to be their RB1. He's going to see all the touches. So I'm curious to see what he does with that kind of workload. Their defense, they still have Aaron Donald. As long as he's playing, he's the best defensive tackle in the league. But outside of that, their defense is very questionable. They could be competing for the worst defense in the league by the end of the season.
I think Aaron Donald enough puts them at like 25th or 26th alone.
Yeah. I have
so
them.
many young guys.
I have them at 6-11, so it's not like I have them.
So then you have them
pushing for
under.
a playoff.
I would have made that wrong. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me see if I did. Yeah, so I do have them under. Yeah, I have them under at 6-11. So I could see them going 7-10, but I don't know. It's going to really be it's really going to depend on how Matthew Stafford, if he can stay healthy, and the receiving group that they have around it. I mean, like, listen, Sean McVay, like you said, he could just be like, you know what, I'm getting the fuck out of here, or he could stick to his guns and be like, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to see how the team does, and if we get that first overall pick, I'm taking fucking Caleb Williams and implementing him into this offense.
I think there's a strong possibility we see Stetson Bennett at some point this season.
Kiss me up.
Oh God! If that happens, they're in the contention to get Caleb Williams.
Oh yeah,
Speaking of
that's
that,
why I'm on the under.
Speaking of that,
Especially
here we go.
Yeah. Oh,
here we
boy.
go.
All right. I think this win total is it is by 2 games the lowest in the NFL.
Oh wait, did I go? No, I went the under on this one.
I probably didn't. I didn't type that. in right
I have. Oh yeah, I had
no.
going like
I know we all had the under. I know.
It's all the under. No one's going over on this one.
I think this is all total. I mean, the only reason it's as high as it is because of the potential return of Kyler.
Yeah. Well, you can't set the line any lower either if you're Vegas. You're leaving the door open.
For there to be an over.
Yeah, you're leaving the door open.
I mean,
I don't know.
We're going to get Dobbs. We might get Clayton Tune.
Nah, dude, we're getting Clayton Tune at some point. And I love me some Clayton Tune.
And yet you have them going 0-17.
Again, another team that
really could
want to win.
I think they're a team that could go 0-17. I really do.
This is the worst roster of players I've ever seen.
It's the worst roster I've seen since the Texans the year after Watson.
Yeah.
The Texans the year after Watson, when I looked at that roster, I was like, oh my God.
Where do they win a game?
That's
how I feel looking at this roster. Where do they win a game? They're rostering. I haven't looked at it since cuts, but before cuts, they were rostering like 6 tackles and like 2 guards.
And they traded their best one. They traded Josh Jones.
Yeah. What are we doing?
And
we traded Isaiah Simmons for a 7th. Yeah. What are we doing? When you should have traded Budda Baker.
And look,
no, you should have traded Budda Baker.
The topic about tanking is something the NFL does not want to explore. The NFL does not want to admit that one of their teams is openly willing trying to lose games. They don't want to admit that joke that Stephen Ross made to Brian Flores when he said, "I'll pay you $100,000 for every loss."
Real.
They don't want to admit that shit is real. But that shit is real.
Also, what do we think about Jonathan Gannon?
Well, I didn't cringe. By the way, that video that's surfacing on Twitter,
it's not terrible.
I don't think it's that bad. Well, not that one, but the one that surfaced in the last few days.
The 2 crazy videos he has.
The one of him like giving a big locker room speech,
and everyone's looking at him like this,
talking about him riding their bikes or taking the bus or whatever.
Everyone's looking at him like,
you got that fire in your belly.
Says I want fucking killers.
Yeah. I think he's also a candidate to be fired after 1 year.
Maybe Steve Wilkes style.
Because they
tampered to get him.
I don't think that they fire him.
They're going to draft Caleb Williams. They're going to want to bring in an offensive coach, and they're going to draft Marvin Harrison Jr. as well.
What if Lincoln? What if they persuade Lincoln Riley?
That's a terrible idea. I don't want Lincoln Riley anywhere near my NFL franchise. He can't. He can't win at USC with Caleb Williams. Why is he going to win?
What do you mean he can't win at USC with Caleb Williams? They won 11 games last year.
Dog.
Well, I mean,
are you saying
not getting to the playoff?
Are you saying the Cardinals are going to get the 1-2 in the draft?
The Texans have to be the second worst team in the league in order to do that.
I think it's very, very in the cards. I think I have it predicted as the Raiders.
Could you imagine? Oh, mine just blew. Could you imagine the Colts drafting Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Anthony
Dude,
Richardson, yeah.
I have the Colts and the. So I would have, yeah. So what I would have it as is the Cardinals #1, and then the Colts #2 in the draft order.
Bro,
Oh Lord.
Marvin Harrison Jr. continuing his father's legacy as an Indianapolis. Wow. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
rooting for that. I'm
Yeah,
rooting for that.
I don't want him in Arizona.
We all
Cardinals are
agree.
going-
Yeah, terrible football team. I
Go
don't
ahead,
think
Brad.
there's a
Do we think the Cardinals play with the possibility of trading Kyler away?
yes.
In the
We
offseason,
talked
if
about
they have
this
the
the
number
other
one
day.
pick, yes.
Yep.
We talked about this
Yes.
the other day. Me and David did.
Who would even pick up that contract?
That's
Falcons.
a great question.
Falcons.
Yeah.
But if the Falcons didn't want to pick up
Ooh,
Lamar's
shit.
contract, why would they want to pick up Kyler's contract?
Because they saw Desmond Ritter sucks.
Well, they saw Desmond Ritter sucks last year.
Yeah, but they didn't
Well,
see it for
he was
long
a rookie,
enough.
so they're banking
They
on
still
the
believe.
upside potential.
They still believe.
Here's my thing: Kyler's contract, while it might seem big on
Not that
paper,
bad.
isn't that big compared to these other contracts.
And I
Not
guarantee-
anymore.
I guarantee
Yeah,
you
so,
can get
like-
the Cardinals to eat money too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guarantee
the
the
Falcons
Cardinals eat money.
the Falcons are going to have that cap space next year, so they're going to have
Yeah.
spending money. They can do
I
it.
texted Davidson that the other day. That's the perfect scenario, I think, for a trade partner. Because
I
you
think
can
the
spend
Raiders-
a couple firsts.
I think the Raiders are a team to keep an eye on in that sweepstakes
Yeah,
as
but
well.
why?
What do you mean, why? Better
I
than
don't
Jimmy
think they're
G?
good. The Falcons makes way more sense.
It could. All right. We're going to go through quickly our predictions for the season. I've seen both of these guys' predictions for the awards. And I'm going to go ahead and unveil. Well, actually, I'll let these two both have the floor for the MVP first because they both share the same pick. Josh, Lamar Jackson is your MVP.
Yes, so he is my favorite to win the award. Like I said, I have the Ravens having a phenomenal season, finishing, I believe, at 13-4. Yeah, 13-4, winning what I think is the toughest division in all of football, the AFC North. It's a gauntlet if you can win 13 games in that division. And I think under your boy Monken, I think we're going to see a revived passing attack from Lamar Jackson with Odell, Zay Flowers, who could be a dark horse candidate for Rookie of the Year. He really could be. I think the sky's the limit for that kid. But, yeah, I think we see throwback to Lamar's MVP year before, and maybe even better from the passing side of things. And I think we see a little less running of the football. Just going to be a really good football team led by their leader.
Brad, you share the same idea?
I think Josh is exactly how I feel. I think Lamar is about to come out here and show the fucking league that he is up there in the pedestal of the best quarterback in the league. You add Odell, you get Zay Flowers, you have Mark Andrews, you have a pretty solid offensive line, you have a defense that's going to be top 10. It's all there for him to get another MVP. I also like that prediction too. That I don't think he runs that much. I think that he finally has some passing options where he doesn't have to be that quarterback that relies on his legs so much. I mean, definitely we'll see Lamar break off for a 60-yard touchdown every now and then, but I think that he's actually going to finally be able to be comfortable in the pocket and not be like, fuck, there's no receivers down there open, or I don't trust this receiver to jump for the ball. You know, he's finally going to have receivers that he feels comfortable with, and I think he's about to have a huge year.
My MVP is Jalen Hurts.
Ooh.
I think that all of the stars align. I think that he won't have to rely on one running back, as we saw earlier on our depth chart look in, where they have 4 different guys that are all going to assume duties out of the backfield. I think all that do different things very well, and guys around him on offense at wide receiver and at tight end that are all going to be able to contribute in different ways. I love offenses that have different receivers that do different things well, and that's an offense. This is an offense that has that. Another offense that has that is the Cincinnati Bengals. And Brad and I share the same offensive player of the year. Even though the Bengals, I don't have making the playoffs, this feels like a Justin Jefferson type season for me for Jamar Chase. Do you agree, Brad?
I think he's about to have a crazy third year. I think he's poised to have a really solid year. Barring if Burrow gets hurt, but even then, I think if Burrow gets hurt, I still think he puts up great numbers. I mean, if Burrow gets hurt, he might not win Offensive Player of the Year, but I think he'll come damn close. I mean, last year we were kind of talking about Tyreek possibly being offensive player of the year. Tua gets hurt and he's still putting up numbers. I think it could be the exact same thing with Chase if Burrow gets hurt. But yeah, Chase is about to show that he's going to be up there. That you're going to be sitting there comparing, well, not comparing, but complimenting if Jefferson and Chase are the 1-2. So I love Chase. I think he's going to be a stud this year.
And to foreshadow Offensive Rookie of the Year, Josh is all the way in on the Bijan Mustard.
Has to be Bijan. I mean,
has
to be Bijan. This guy is probably going to touch the football. 350 times.
The football.
I mean, between rushing and receiving, I don't believe that Tyler Algier is going to eat into his touches that much. I just don't. I personally have futures on Bijan to lead the league in rushing touchdowns and scrimmage yards. I think this guy's the limit. I think the blueprint for how to use him is what the Giants did in 2018, Saquon Barkley's rookie year.
Yep.
You take that, you run the copy and paste, and you go from there, and Bijan is as good as it gets.
2 for Jamar, 1 for Bijan. This is an award where we are all on separate wavelengths. Give me Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett, who's had Defensive Player of the Year caliber seasons in the past, will get one this season. We talked a lot about earlier how we think there's a lot of dudes on that side of the ball for the Browns, and I got to have them winning the division for a lot of reasons, not just Deshaun Watson. And I think one of the big reasons is going to be a 17-plus type sack season for, everyone's favorite Halloween guy, Myles Garrett. The favorite to win NFL Defensive Player of the Year is Josh's pick, going chalk with Micah Parsons.
Yeah, I like this pick. It feels pretty safe. He's probably outside of, and probably shoulder to shoulder with Myles Garrett, the most talented defensive player in the league, I think, top to bottom. The guy wakes up, eats breakfast, and rushes the quarterback. That's what he does.
Loves it.
And he wasn't even drafted as a defensive end.
Oh.
This guy was drafted as a linebacker. So, yeah, this guy's a freak of nature. He's as good as it gets. And if Dallas is going to do anything defensively, it starts with this guy.
Agreed. The one that's kind of a little bit off the board, I think he has the 5th or 6th highest odds. The former NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year, Brad's NFL Defensive Player of the Year, Sauce Gardner.
I think he's about to build off what he did last year and become the best cornerback in the league. He was just a stud last year. Locking down some of the best receivers in the league. I mean, I think he held Justin Jefferson to 3 receptions when they played the Vikings. I think he's going nowhere but up. I think that he's about to become a generational type of cornerback in the league. And I feel like for me, I do understand the Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett, but I just I feel like Gardner is about to ascend into like one of the elites of the league.
Quickly before we move to NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year, when do we think the last time a corner won this award?
Was it Reeves?
I don't know off the top of my head. Just thinking
Deion?
about it. Oh no, it's been before that,
Has it?
or it's been since that. Since that, I mean,
Was it
yeah,
Reeves?
yeah, 2019.
Reeves.
2019. It was not Reeves.
Who was it?
2019.
No,
Oh.
2019.
Oh, it was
Jalen Ramsey.
Mm-mm.
No.
Oh my gosh, the
AFC.
corner for the Patriots.
Yeah,
Oh my
Gilmore.
Oh, Stephon
Gilmore.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
That year in
Gilmore.
2019 was special.
Also,
That
I
was
just want to
the
throw
year.
one more tidbit in here.
Yeah,
I like Micah Parsons. If I had to place a bet, it would be Micah Parsons. But since I picked the Giants as my division winner, I would be very, very intrigued in Kayvon Thibodeau.
Thibodeau. Yeah.
Just to throw that out there.
Like
What
Thibodeau.
if I told you guys Revis never won it?
What?
I'm not surprised. Corners don't win the
Wow.
award usually.
The last corner
Especially in
before
09?
09 was Charles Woodson. I was going to say the last player to win it was in
Wow.
09, and it wasn't Revis. It was Charles Woodson.
That's actually kind of crazy. Reeves
All
was
right.
out there locking motherfuckers down in 09.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Still didn't win
Oh, yeah.
shit.
No,
That's
first ballot.
crazy.
All
Yeah.
right. This is where we have the biggest discrepancy. And like I said, get off to a little bit of a slow start. Come on strong at the end of the season, right when the award voters are going to be looking. And that's a great recipe for Anthony Richardson to win Offensive Rookie
I
of the Year.
wanted it.
I think he has the highest chance of any quarterback to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. And in a league that is predominantly dominated accolade-wise by quarterbacks, why not give it to him? I think this goes without saying.
No,
Josh's
I
Offensive
don't need to
Player
talk
of the
about it.
Year. This is Offensive Rookie of the Year. Brad is going. How do you feel about this one today, Brad?
Well,
Tough start.
Not that high on it, but like Josh said earlier, if they do use Gibbs the way that they used Kamara back in Kamara's rookie year, I mean, Gibbs will get it unlocked. I mean, if he gets 800 yards receiving and 800 yards rushing, he combines for like fucking 25 touchdowns.
He's going to win it.
Until Bijan goes for 1,000 and 1,000.
Yeah, that would be insane. Oh my god! But I think Gibbs, especially seeing what he can do with limited snaps and touches, I don't know. I don't know, but I still love it. I still love it. But
yeah, I really do see a scenario where it's like a Bijan versus Gibbs race.
Yeah, totally.
I could see
Gibbs,
that being a thing.
Let's just get this straight right now. We're not going to see last night for much longer.
That's not the game plan.
No. We will see. We will see a much different
There should be
formula
a big uptick in touches
going forward for the Lions. So Anthony Richardson for me, Bijan for Josh, Jahmyr Gibbs for
the
Brad.
Richardson pick.
The NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. I'm going to go with the guy that a lot of people pegged going into this process as the potential number one pick in the draft, had the Bears stayed at number one. And Brad and I are in agreement here. It is Jalen Carter from the Eagles. You pair him next to Cox, Davis, doesn't matter. This dude just plays ball and plays it with a ferocious pace and with a very high motor. I mean, the give up on certain snaps thing kind of concerns me, but just talking about pure upside, this right here is a pick for me, especially on a team that's going to win games. I would lean Carter a little bit over Anderson, even though it was damn close. Josh, you lean the other way.
Yes, so the reason I lean the other way is basically, well, one, I am not as high on Jalen Carter as we talked about earlier in the pod. I think he's going to be good, but also this is an award that tends to lean towards pass rushers, specifically edge rushers. And Will Anderson is the best rookie edge rusher. Just kind of like the Defensive Player of the Year. leans edge rushers. When Will Anderson had a great start to the preseason, he is the most dominant edge rusher to come into the draft class, probably since, I would say, Myles Garrett, because Parsons wasn't an edge rusher. I mean, the guy can win at every level. He just is the cream of the crop. There's a reason. You don't see a lot of trade ups in the draft into the top 5 to go get a defensive player.
Yeah.
Those trades are typically for quarterbacks. So the fact that the Texans felt the need to go up and get a edge rusher at 3 speaks volumes to me. And in a D'Amico Ryans defense, I think he's going to be highlighted. So,
Brad, why do you agree with me?
I think Jalen Carter was the best defensive prospect coming out of this draft. I do really like Will Anderson, but for me, I think Carter, he definitely fits the scheme for the Eagles, which is crazy that he fell. So, I couldn't believe it. And it makes it even worse because I'm a Saints fan. We traded away that pick. So, sitting here thinking about Carter, thinking about Carter on the Saints right now, dude, I would be so thrilled. So, I feel like they got the steal of the draft. He's a stud, especially with the Eagles and that defense and the way that they play. He's going to fit perfectly into it. So, I could see Anderson getting in there, but for right now, I feel more comfortable with Carter.
Josh and I waxed poetic about the Green Bay Packers. You take a new guy, you do the Brett Favre part 2, you make it to where we have a brand new situation to where, like we said, it's just going to happen again when we're 40. Because if it happens for a 3rd time, it's just going to happen again for a 4th. And that leads me to Matt LaFleur being my head coach of the year. Josh, you agree?
I do. I thought about flipping this actually for a moment just because.
Who?
Arthur Smith.
Oh.
I know. I don't love it, but
you ruined Kyle Pitts' career. You should be null and void from never winning that award.
Agreed. But the reason I thought about flipping it, I have the Falcons as the division winner.
Yeah.
And I have the Packers as a wild card team. I have the Lions winning the division. Seems like it goes more in lockstep. But, I mean, I guess what? Last year, Dayball won it, right?
Yep.
As a wild card team. So, I mean, it's possible. And I love LaFleur as a coach. I love Jordan Love. I see all the pathways to it. So, LaFleur's not a bad pick. But off value, I haven't looked at, if we're talking from a betting perspective, I haven't looked at the betting lines. I'm sure you'd get insane value on either guy, whether it was Arthur Smith or LaFleur.
I saw the favorite earlier
is
today.
Probably like one of the guys with a rookie quarterback, just because I feel like it's always in lockstep with that. But I feel like a guy like LaFleur is going way under the radar because he's not a new head coach. Typically, first-year head coaches win it, or first year with their team at least win it.
The favorite is Dan Campbell.
Ugh, I hate that.
What?
There's no value there, dude.
Followed by Sean Payton.
Sean Payton makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, there's a path to them winning the division, and I fucking hate it.
If I was going to bet, I would take Brad's pick because he has the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th highest odds, and I could see Doug Peterson winning.
Doug EP.
I could see it. He was my second pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about him too.
Last year, it was between him and DeBall that, and I thought Peterson should have won it over, oh my gosh.
Brian Daboll,
yeah. I remember me and Brett went back and forth on that. I think the Jags have a huge year this year. I don't think that they'll make it to the Super Bowl, but I could see them battling the Ravens out, come January for the AFC Championship.
Oh yeah, I can see them fighting for a 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think that they're going to run away with that division, and I think they're going to be fighting, for the top seed in the AFC. So, give me Dougie.
I agree.
In order,
The
it's
only
Dan
concern
Campbell.
I have with Dougie is Trevor gets all the recognition. That's the only concern I would
Yeah.
have with Dougie.
It could.
No, that's a
Trevor's so
legitimate
high
concern.
profile.
In order, it's Dan Campbell, Sean Payton, Matt Eberflus. No value there, in my
Don't
opinion.
like that.
Arthur Smith, Matt LaFleur, Saleh, could see that. Peterson,
Yeah.
Mike
Rodgers gets
McDaniel.
recognition if they're good.
There's your top
Yeah.
8. Real quick before we get out of here, who's going to the Super Bowl and who's winning it? Josh.
Oh, baby. I want y'all to go first. I want to drop the pod on this one.
Brad, go ahead.
On the AFC, I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens are about to be nice. I think that they have a complete team. I think Lamar finally has the weapons that he needs. The NFC, I'm going to go with my 1 seed. I'm going to go to 49ers. I think it's a rematch of the lights out game.
Yep.
Not a rematch, but a rematch of the same team. So 49ers and Ravens, and give me the Ravens to win Super Bowl.
Josh.
So, I have a rematch per se as well.
From
Well,
Dilfer versus Kerry
Dilfer.
Collins.
Yeah. Give me Ravens Giants. Give me Ravens
Wow,
Giants.
okay.
Yeah, going out on a limb here.
Both of you guys have the Ravens.
I do strongly believe in the Ravens for every reason you stated and then some. Like, I just think they are primed and poised to make their run. Mahomes has had his run. Burrow's had his run. It's Lamar's turn to make his run in the AFC. And the NFC, I think, is as wide open as it gets. But I trust Brian Daboll with my life, as you can tell by my predictions. And I think Daniel Jones is ready to make a leap. I think the additions of Jalen Hyatt and Darren Waller, and whenever Wan'Dale Robinson returns, they have a deep receiving core of just dudes. They're building a roster of Madden receivers that are fast and run deep and go catch the football. So I think offensively, they can be really good. And as I talked about their defense, it's so solid top to bottom. And I have the Giants winning.
I too have an NFC East team winning, and it's not the Giants.
Yeah,
It's the Philadelphia Eagles. As much as I would like to not see that, being a 49ers fan, I just loved I just liked the offseason way too much. I have them meeting the Buffalo Bills and the Bills completing the NFC East.
Damn, the Bills lose another Super Bowl.
No, not even lose another Super Bowl.
Oh.
Lose another Super Bowl to an NFC East team and completing the quadfecta of losing the Super Bowl to all 4 teams in the same division. An entire division.
Dude.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Will Josh Allen ever beat the allegations?
If he gets to the Super Bowl, he'll buy himself a shit ton of years.
No.
He
will. Going to the bowl would be enough for that fan base. They jump on tables. They throw babies on tables.
Maybe. But, dude, they're so scarred from getting there and losing, I feel like.
I saw a video the other day of someone setting up a table for a baby and, like, holding the baby and, like, putting it onto this table like he was, like, baptizing it. If they go to the bowl, that's all they care about.
Yeah, this new generation, they got to get the experience of the Bills losing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Eagles over the Bills. Guys, this has been great. This has been fun. Awesome. I look forward to this season a lot. Soon we're going to have every single week something to expect from us as you go forward. We're going to have picks on the spread and totals for all these games. We're going to do a little bit, not necessarily betting our own money, but we're going to have our own competition of picks throughout the season. We're going to have weekly rookie quarterback check-ins throughout the season. That's going to be really exciting. And we're going to recap again every single week. Wednesdays and Thursdays are when this podcast is going to come out. And we look forward to hopefully building an audience and having you guys with us every step of the way. Until then, my name is Davidson. And for Josh and Brad, we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.